everybody. In EDU 131, we are wrapping up the traveling suitcase assignment in this third leg of our video series on the traveling suitcase. This is really video 4 because part 2, which dealt with steps 1 through 3, actually took 2 videos. So this might end up taking a little bit more too. But anyways, we're going to try to look at steps 4, 5, and 6 in this video series. So if there was something about the general overview or steps 1 through 3, you should look at the previous videos to get information about that. So let's jump right now down to step 4, and you'll see it right here on your screen, I hope. And you'll see that this is where you're going to actually develop the activities for the suitcase. So our previous steps talked about the survey, so you know what was available as far as home resources, and then you also, in the next steps, gave me the age and the grade and all of that, the size of the class. Then you start talking about how you were going to use the data from the survey that you administered, and now you're going to finally do the activities. A lot of students like to do this out of order. They like to plan the activities because that sounds fun, and then do the other phases after this, which you just need to be really careful doing that this is indeed developmentally appropriate for the age that you tell me the suitcase is going to be, and that it just really matches up with the survey. So if you want to work backwards, you're going to have to really think hard about that. So anyways, with step 4, if you're doing it in order, though, you have all of that information in place, and you're now going to add in your knowledge about learning styles and preferences, core approaches to teaching that are supported by research and closely linked to the process of early development and learning. You'll also address how you will work with families who may not speak English as their first language in the home. You may consider if you want to provide several choices of activities, but only ask families to do 1 or 2 of them. This choice is yours, but this step is where you will fully develop the activities that will comprise the suitcase. The quality and the variety of the activities in the traveling suitcase is worth 20 points as detailed in the rubric. So let's jump now to the rubric and look at that 4th. So we'll come down here, and here it is. Step 4, you should see it there on your screen, using a broad repertoire of developmentally appropriate teaching practices, or I'm sorry, teaching learning approaches, and that's NAEY Standard 4C. And we are going to specifically look at the variety and the quality of your activities that you've included. Don't forget, as we've said before, that you want to stay away from that far right column. That's not met, not acceptable. And then you want to move as far across the screen to your viewing left as possible. I'm going to put the mouse over here. This is the column that we're trying to address. So if you want full credit, your activities need to be clearly reflective of your survey data. So if they say things like, we're only willing to spend 5 minutes on this, I should only see 5-minute activities. If your survey data said, we don't have crayon, scissors, glue, then I should see those items that you're providing. So activities should incorporate 3 different learning styles. So remember, learning styles are like, you can be a visual learner, you can be an auditory learner, you can be a hands-on learner. So those are some of our learning styles that you might use in your approaches. All activities selected demonstrate knowledge of appropriate processes of early development and learning. So the quality, and I'm specifically looking for quality, developmentally appropriate activities. Activities are respectful of the home language. So again, if you have a large part of your class that does not speak English, maybe we should have directions in Spanish, or maybe the directions are pictorial directions. Activities offer families flexibility in completing the activities. So again, in the directions I mentioned, you might provide 3 activities that say, we're only asking you to do 1, but feel free to do all 3 if you want. So again, you want to offer them some flexibility. How families are to complete the activities are clearly defined in easy to understand terms. And again, it might be that it's a recording of the directions. It might be pictorial directions. And whatever's gonna fit your age and your group is fine, but you want to make sure that they're clear and easy to understand. So let's look now at number 5. So when we move ahead to step 5, in addition to the survey, we'll make an additional family contact prior to sending the traveling suitcase home with children. This contact will have 2 parts, and it serves as a way to show families that we value their role as a primary teacher. The first part is a letter explaining how the survey data was used to create a traveling learning environment that their child will be bringing home. So this way they know, they can anticipate that this traveling suitcase is going to be coming to their home. The letter should give details of what materials will be in the suitcase, including the class journal described below, which we'll have to talk about yet, and a brief description of the activities. Additionally, the amount of time each child can keep the suitcase and a tentative schedule is also shared at this time. That way families can plan ahead. This is showing respect for their time. Families should be encouraged to relay any special needs or concerns regarding the activity to teachers so they can be addressed prior to sending the suitcase to their home. In addition to this letter, families will be provided with a list of community resources that would extend this learning. I lost my place up there. Extend, promote, or introduce the activities contained in the traveling suitcase. Now this list could guide families to a local resource or home activities that they could either do before, during, or after the traveling suitcase has been to their home. Perhaps while their child is still excited about the topic and activity, or while they are patiently waiting for the suitcase to make it to their home. You can view this as engaging family in the child's transition. The letter and community resource contact is worth 20 points as detailed in the rubric. So we're going to jump back to the rubric again. And when we look at step 5 right here, NAEYC Standard 2.C, involving families and community in young children's development and learning, you'll see that it spells out exactly what your letter to families must contain. So you'll see it here again. You'll see my mouse going over it right there. It must have an explanation, of what the traveling suitcase is, how the survey data was used in creating the suitcase, details of the activities and materials that will be in the suitcase, a brief explanation of what families might do with the suitcase, information about the class journal, which you're going to read about in a minute, and how long they can keep the suitcase before returning it to the class, the tentative schedule, and an invitation to relay special needs or concerns to the teacher and specifics on how to do that. Then a list of resources also needs to be included. So this could be like a 2-sided page, like the information on one side, and these resources might be on the back. This could almost look like a newsletter a little bit, but make it a little bit more like a letter, but it could definitely look like part of a newsletter as well though. The list of resources needs to include all the following: explanation on why these resources are included, encouragement to use the resources, but also a statement that it's not required, suggestions on how to use the resources to introduce, extend, or summarize the suitcase, and a variety, at least 5 resources listed and shared. And it may be a website, community resources, an activity idea, a song, any of those things would be fine. So that is a pretty long list right there, but that's everything spelled out, almost exactly what you need to include in your letter and then your list of resources. Okay, I think we have enough time on this video to hit 6, so I am going to pull up step 6 for you down here. You'll see step 6 is right here, and that is the last step in showing our continued commitment to involving families in children's development and learning. We'll include a family journal in the traveling suitcase. The journal can be a small notebook that we ask families to write in, Or if the survey results indicate the classroom families all had strong preference for electronic communication, it might be a discussion forum, a blog post, or a wiki post on a class website. If you have many children whose home language is not English, you may use a recorded journal that can be in the home language. The format of the journal should be a direct reflection of your specific class, which you have a description of based on your survey that you did in number 1 and the information you shared with me from step 2. So I have a picture in my mind of this class based on what you've shared so far. Clear directions regarding the journal should be given in the suitcase. Be sure to address who should write or speak. Maybe it's the whole family, maybe it's a parent or an adult, maybe it's the child from the class. Don't know, you make that up, but you need to make sure you communicate it. So also an example could be provided. Be sure to also address how the class journal will be used after it has visited every child's home. So will it be shared in the reading or listening center? Will it be used as a springboard for another class activity, almost like a flat Stanley, if you're familiar with that? Families should know who will see or hear their entry, so they need to know if it's not private. And because it's traveling so many homes, it's not private, so you do want to make sure they understand that. The journal, including clear directions, information, and use, will be worth 10 points as described in the rubric. So we're going to jump to the rubric. And here we are, step 6, the journal, right here. The journal is reflective of the survey data. The family preferences is included in the suitcase. So consideration for a home language other than English is evident. Clear directions regarding the journal are included in the suitcase and address the following: who should write or speak in the journal, length of response, what information are you hoping for them to share. An example entry will be provided so they have something to look at and get a good understanding. How will this journal be used after it is returned, and who will see or hear my family's entry? So that's everything that you need to include in the journal. We're getting close to the time, but I think I can still get the last little bit in. Although it's not a graded part of the assignment, it's worth noting that a strong teacher would use any or all feedback about the suitcase and activities to help share the next traveling suitcase made. Family feedback should always be valued and used for future improvement. Again, that's not part of the grade though. As with all professional communication, extra care and effort should be given to ensure that our communication portrays our commitment to education and our professionalism. Be sure to proofread and edit all written communication in this project. That's worth 10 points. The survey, data sheet, parent letter with community resources and directions, all should be typed. The materials and activities in the traveling suitcase should be professionally prepared and presented. That's also worth 10 points. So let's look at our rubric one more time so you can see our supportive skills of written and verbal communication. It tells us that no more than 5 errors of any kind in, and I give you the list of things that I'm going to be looking at: the survey, data collection sheet, letter, resource page, directions. Okay, and then the professional resources, again, professionally prepared. All activities in the suitcase are just professional. That's what we're looking for. No misspelled words, no typos. All right, that went through the last 3 steps of the project. So again, anytime you have questions, reach out. Good luck.